The Manila Symphony Orchestra is the oldest surviving artistic institution in the Philippines, who is dedicated to pursuing excellence in everything that it does, from the training and nurturing of its musicians to each and every live orchestral concert that it performs.
It exists by the efforts of the Board of Trustees and also, of course, the musicians who commit their time and talent to keep this orchestra up and running.
We're talking about the 100 years relation between Austria and the MSO.
What people only see is what they see on stage, but what they do not see is the hard work that goes behind it.
The MSO is different in the sense that we are driven for education. And we also give space for young musicians to be soloists or musicians of the orchestra and even conductors. Reaching 100 years is a reflection of the resilience and the passion of Filipinos to keep orchestra music alive. It was initiated 100 years ago. Of course, it's never been easy. There's never a point in the history of the orchestra when things were easy.
What people only see is what they see on stage, but what they do not see is the hard work and the dedication and the sacrifice, not only by the musicians, but by the staff that enable them to perform, and by the trustees that have to beg and borrow in order to keep the orchestra alive.
This time the Americans came and they developed a cultural sensibility. One of them was the idea of having a symphony, an orchestra that would play Western music.
To put up a symphony orchestra needs a special effort from its citizens to rehearse regularly and come up with a concert. For the founder, Alexander Lippay, noticed that the musicians in the Philippines that he saw when he visited were already capable of playing the standard orchestral repertoire. And when he came here in the 1920s, he saw that we are ripe and ready to form our own symphony orchestra.
Alexander Lippay came to the Philippines in 1925, coming from post-World War I Austria at the time, and started to found the MSO. And already with the first concert of the MSO up on January 22nd, 1926.
In 1931, the MSO was lucky because they founded this theater, the Metropolitan Theater, which became their home and where they did their regular season concerts starting in 1932 all the way to the beginning of the Second World War.
I think what surprised me the most are that there was this earnestness of the original founders. It wasn't half-hearted. It was really a sense of a mission.
There is a story of Alexander Lippay making more than 39 rehearsals, paying the musicians himself because he knows that the Manila Symphony Society could not afford it.
Herbert Zipper has been a prisoner in Dachau and Buchenwald concentration camps by the Nazis. He fled Austria at the time, made it to Manila, and became the successor of Alexander Lippay when he passed away.
When the Japanese came to Manila, they wanted to create an atmosphere that everything is okay. And one way to create that image is for the Manila Symphony Orchestra to continue doing their regular concerts. But the members of the orchestra, and especially Dr. Herbert Zipper and the Legardas family who were supporting the orchestra, said, we do not want to cooperate with the Japanese.
That was a strong signal that music is there and holds up also resistance in difficult times.
One thing that stands out because of its relevance to this country is MSO's performance in front of the ruins of the Santa Cruz Church on May 9th, 1945, just as Manila was being liberated. And that liberation concert was meant to lift up the spirits of not only the Allied soldiers and the Filipinos who fought a long, hard battle, but also every Filipino that suffered through the war. So it was a concert not only of peace, but a concert of hope.
Herbert Zipper did not want to give up. And as soon as the war is over, Herbert Zipper reorganized the MSO, called and looked for all the surviving musicians and gathered them when actually there were still fighting going on outside Manila. I think of any orchestra or any city in the world where they have an orchestra performing over 4 or 5 times a week right after the war. Because of that history, there is a sense of mission of making this story known. It gives Filipinos a sense of pride, knowing that we were pioneers.
I joined the MSJO when I was 7 years old. Since then, they helped me experience play a solo piece in their concerts so I can have more confidence. MSJO and MSO is like a family to me because we all care for each other, especially when performing. And every time I'm in MSJO and MSO, it's like a home for me.
The mission of MSO is to bring music into the lives of the community. In our outreach programs, we go to the different towns. We try to choose towns that are more far-flung. We gather the local musiceros, the bandas, musicians, any kind of musician. We give them a master class. At the end of the day, they perform with the orchestra.
Music and culture is so important these days. Music bridges cultures, brings people together.
100 years from now, I would hope that the MSO will continue to pursue the same dream of Alexander Lippay, Herbert Zipper, the Legardas, and all the pioneer musicians to make orchestral music a viable livelihood for those who dedicated their lives and their talent to its pursuit, and to make it a regular part of the Filipinos' cultural experience, to make orchestral music and its practice an agent for transforming young people, inculcating discipline, sense of teamwork, responsibility, leadership to develop better Filipinos.